There's the Catholic church there on the left-hand side. Of course, there's no church there anymore, but that was the Catholic church. And Murray City was a booming town, famous for its coal. There was several big mines here, and I remember as a boy, there used to be a meat market right there, and a hardware store, and a hotel right there, a drugstore over there on the left-hand side, which says Candy, a feed store right there, a restaurant right there. Kroger's was right there in that building right there on the corner. I went to school right there. There was a Sahaya gas station right here. You can buy Sahaya gas right there. Or you could cross the bridge right here. You could buy Sahaya gas right here. So you had your choice. You could either buy Sahaya or Sahaya. And there was an opera house back there, and a big clothing store right here. Number 5 mine was over here on the left-hand side. If you look, you can see where the curb is missing. That's where the bridge crossed the creek right here to go over to it right there. That was a big mine, and I got a picture of that you can see when we get there. And my sister's following us. There was another mine. It was called Single. The reservoir was up that hollow right there. So there was another mine up there. And Single Reservoir was where they got their water. They had a double reservoir back there where mine number 5 was. That's where they got their water. And we used to go swimming in those ponds when we were younger. It's nice to got people directing traffic. There was a gas station right here on the left-hand side, and people used to stop right in the middle of the road and pump the gas. Right there was a gas station. There was another grocery store right here. It was called Murphy's. And that's about it for Murray City. Okay, this is Job's Hollow. This is where I was raised. And there was, I want you to notice how busy it is up here. At one time, there was 3 passenger trains running in and out of here every day. That's not counting the coal trains. 3 passenger trains. So you can imagine, my great uncle delivered papers from the junction where we turned off. Used to be a gas station right there at the corner. From right there up here to the head of the holler, he delivered 1,000 newspapers every day, he told me. So it's hard to believe because it's so busy up here now with all the high rises and everything. But the railroad track went over here to our left-hand side. It went up through there. When I was a boy, I remember there used to be a log cabin right up that holler right there. Now, up here, as soon as we get around this corner, you can't see nothing now because of all the trees. But about right in here, there used to be a coal tipple that ran from that side of the hill, clear over there, clear over to that side, on that side of the hill, across this whole valley, one big tipple. They used to deliver coal from the mine on that side, and then dump it in the coal cars over there, the trains, and then the ones on that side would deliver it. And there, it was just one tipple. When the miners went on strike, they burnt the tipple down, and then they rebuilt it later on. Used to be a house up that hollow. Houses, well, I remember as a boy, clear up through here on the right-hand side. Clear up through here. Now, the reason they wasn't on the left-hand side because that's where the mine was. That's where all their equipment was. Their tool sheds and their work shed and
barn.
No, the barn wasn't over there. The barn was up here, but all their equipment and stuff was over on that side. Now, right up here, right there, is where the church was, the Job's Church. I can show you a picture of that. The barn, Candy, was back there on the right-hand side.
Okay.
A huge barn that they kept their ponies in to work in the mines. I remember houses up that holler. Remember a house over there. Nothing. Houses all up through here. The last house up here was right up here. You can see where that tree right there is burnt. The last house was in the hollow in Job's Hollow. Sat right there. It was a big old 2-story company house. And I've got a picture of that house. Not long before it burned down. It's not in good shape, but it used to really be a nice house because the big shot lived in that house. The rest of these were just little, what they call shotgun houses. There was a snake. Did you see it?
Mm-mm.
The rest of these were just little shotgun houses or just little houses. They wasn't nothing fancy. I remember houses on that side clear up through here. Over here on the right-hand side was the post office and the schoolhouse. And this holler right here, where there again, you can't see it because of all the weeds. When this is all going, you can see up in there with the room where they had. But that was the post office and the schoolhouse. Back there, Candy, where you had mentioned, where I told you the shop was and everything, the railroad depot and everything was back there too. There's the reservoir that they got their water out of right there to run the mines. They had steam equipment in the mines that the cutters and things would ran off of steam, and they would get their water from that reservoir right there. We used to ice skate on that all the time when we was kids. Okay, now we left Job's. After we passed that reservoir, we're not in Job's, we're going into Pittsburgh. But in the meantime, there's a couple little other towns up here that they called like 5-spot, 10-spot. When I was a boy, all that down there was pasture field. I had big haystacks down there, and he kept his cattle and horses down there. Can't tell it now.
Why would they call it the town's 5-spot and 10-spot?
5 houses in 5-spot, 10 houses in 10-spot. Now there was other houses along the way, you know, like there was a house right up here on the right-hand side. Lennings lived in. There was a house back there. It was called Paulson Glory. That place back there. There was other little places, but you know, if there was a bunch of houses together, they gave them a name. Like people would say, I'm going down to 5-spot or I'm going down to 10-spot, because you'd go there and you'd play cards at night or you'd do something. Remember, there wasn't no electricity. So you did stuff together as families and as groups. Now on the other side of the creek over here, I remember houses.
Hey, don't forget, you got to tell the story about the
rock. Remind me to tell you about the rock. We'll go up that far and do that. We'll turn around up at the bottom of the hill. I remember houses over here. I remember there was a house right here. I pushed a motorbike up this little hill a lot of times. Now right up here is where the train turned around. That's called the Y holler. My dad was raised up that holler right there. I remember houses up that holler. The bus would go down through there every day and pick kids up, and we'd drive through the creek. We always thought that was neat that the bus driver drive through the creek. There was no bridge there. Like this little place right here was, I think it was called 10 Spot. Right here. There's houses up there. And you got to remember, when I tell you I remember, when I remembered it was dying out. There was a lot of things that was going before I can remember. Used to be an oil well down there. We played on it when we was kids. Tried to shake each other off the big belt that ran the derrick. It had a derrick on it. We just tried to shake each other off from it. My dad was born right up this holler right here. This is called Sisson's Holler. Used to be a great big mine up that holler. When it fell in, it pushed the tipple out. It fell so hard the tipple went out, just like an earthquake or whatever. It just pushed the ground. This right here is the only ground that is privately owned in this holler right now, and my sister owns it.
Who owns the rest?
The government.
I think ODNR owns it. Or the Forest Service.
I was raised right there. Right there. Over here on the left-hand side, we're on a big hill. Down in there, there's like a little valley. There was a bunch of houses down in there. All the kids I played with was over in there. People don't know the names of these hollers anymore. But this holler right here is called Wolf Holler. Tell people that today, they wouldn't know nothing. But when I was a young boy, we used to go night hunting and stuff up there. That's a wolf holler. The next one up here on the right hand side is called Robinson Holler. When I was young, you used to go up that holler right there, and you could put your ear down to a rock and hear the water boiling behind it, right up that road right there, because that hillside right there was on fire. Where the mine fires caught it on fire. When I was a boy, this was gravel, it wasn't blacktop. Well, if this had been blacktop when I was a kid,
Yeah.
we thought we was in heaven riding motorcycles, wouldn't we? Motorbikes. I come down through here, a kid was pulling me on a motorbike one time, had a road between the two of them, mine wasn't running and his was, and I wrecked in the gravel. He pulled me right down the road and I was trying to get on top of that bike because I was getting skinned up. Right over here, Shannon, is that rock that fell, and you can't see it because of the stuff that's on it, but it fell on a horse, a calf, a buggy. And the only reason it didn't fall on the guy, they pulled down there and hit that rock to get in the shade. And the guy come along and wanted to talk to him, and he got off his buggy to go talk to the guy. And when he got out on the road, the rock fell and killed his calf and his horse, covered his buggy up. I don't know if you can see any of the rock or not, but I don't think so, because I think the grass and the trees has got it covered up.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right there. There's a horse and a buggy and a calf tied up underneath there. not tied up, but it's under that rock. Up there, Candy, there's a cave up there. And when we was younger, we went up that holler and we spent all night in that cave. And Candy really had a good time. It was the best night of your life, wasn't it, buddy?
No.
She said it was the worst night of her life. The cave leaked, and every place you'd turn, it was raining that night, and every place you'd turn, just to get sleep and drip down on you. So about daylight, when we could see what we was doing, we got up and we hiked down here and went to Mom and Dad's and went to bed. Yep. But it was an adventure, wasn't it, babe?
Yeah, it was.
So that's it, Shannon. We went up Pittsburgh Holler. Okay, we're going back down the road now again. Pittsburgh, we're back in New Pittsburgh. And it had a railroad depot. It had a general store that was up there on the right-hand side. Had a company store, rather. It had a church that was right over there. And it was the black church. They called it the black church. And then they had another church that was right over here on the right. There was a school right there. So there was two churches, a schoolhouse. The railroad depot was right down here on the right. The post office was over here on the left-hand side. The ball diamond was over there on the right-hand side. And the Cincinnati Reds came and played a game there one time. So that tells you what they did. Back in those days, the sports teams traveled. But the depot was over there on the right. So, and then of course, Jobs had their own school and their own depot and their own church. It was two separate towns, Jobs and New Pittsburgh. Before this was New Pittsburgh, it was called Blatchford. They renamed it. On the maps, it says New Pittsburgh, and then it'll say Blatchford, clear on up the head of the holler. That is not the way it really was, because Blatchford and New Pittsburgh was the same place. The Blatchford post office, when the Pittsburgh Coal Company came here, they changed the name of the town to New Pittsburgh and changed the post office name to New Pittsburgh. When I was a boy, I saw some letters that was in my grandma's attic that was postmarked Blatchford, and that was, she said that's where the post office was, right down the same place. It was just renamed. So, but the maps would have you to believe that it was two different towns. It really wasn't. So, well, actually it was, because they renamed it. So at one time, if somebody said I was born in Blatchford, so later on, somebody else could say I was born in New Pittsburgh. It would have been the same, in the same house. It was the same place. So, okay, I think that's it, Shannon.